Welcome back, everyone. This is day number 4 of the HearthStone Inven tournament here in South Korea. My name is Susie Kim. This is HearthStone here with me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Not too bad. It's the last day, pretty much, of the quarterfinals. We've been doing Group B yesterday and today, and we're going to at least have one member come out today to go to the semifinals, and then we'll have to see who's going to make it over to the losers bracket. Luckily, it's a double elimination, so everyone here kind of has a second. Not everyone, I guess. Minus
Almost
one.
everyone.
3 of them still have a chance to make it to the finals. Now. Just recapping on what had happened yesterday. Group B.
You know I'm
gonna
stuff
You know I'm
yesterday.
gonna have to go with that Druid deck. I mean, that's probably the talk of everyone that was here in the studio all day yesterday. I think people are still talking about it.
Definitely. So it was the first day in 3 years of Inven history they had ever done HearthStone that players actually got a draw. First of all,
I know.
So that was a gigantic thing. And after that, Tail actually got the Astro Communion 3 times in a row in his starting hand. The first time he had a coin. The second time he had Wild Growth. The third time
he just drew
in the term. He drew into the Innervate.
Yep. That was amazing.
It was just perfect starting hand for such a troll deck, what seems like.
You know what it must have been? It must have been all those Hot Sixes that he was drinking.
Oh, okay.
Because thanks to Hot Six, who's sponsoring our tournament here. All the players are on tip-top shape. They're really got that full of energy out of that can. So thank you, Hot Six. It must have been that. I'm going to test it to that. Or luck, or Tails' amazing skill play. One of those 3.
So maybe you're going to see another Astro Communion deck from any of the players. Maybe someone got impressed so much and decide to bring one.
Yeah, but do you really think... Okay, for example, do you think Tail would bring that same deck again? Only because wouldn't the other players kind of see through that gimmick, maybe?
Well, you can't really play around Astro Communion when it gets top decked 3 times in a row, right? In the starting hand.
Right. But can he really get that lucky that he would have that again in a starting hand?
Well, at the same time, I feel like if you betray a deck that brought you such an amazing victory, then you might not just make it through anymore.
Oh, God. And then the RNG gets really mad at you.
Exactly. The RNG God. You cannot betray him.
Oh, boy. Yeah. We're going to have to think about that one. But you know what, guys? Let's go ahead and look at the overview for this tournament here. The overview. Oh, we have the graphics very soon. Well, anyway, this league format, we've been here now for a couple weeks. Round of 16 has been going on. Now, starting from the quarterfinals, this is where you've been joining us with the English broadcast because, it went away. But you've been joining us from the quarterfinals just because this is a tournament that gives you Blizzard points, and it's very important for all these players to do well. Now, going straight to today's schedule here, day 4, we have ik4rus versus Tail and Ryumin versus Dogok.
Yeah, and Dogo, although he did lose that match yesterday, I still have high hopes for him, and he just played it really well. He was the person who saw that possibility for a draw in the second to the last game. So I'm really excited to see how he's going to play out in this losers match.
Oh, I felt so bad for Dogok yesterday. Like, after that draw, and then he sees that Tail had gotten the Astro Communion again.
Exactly.
Like, you just saw him, he gave up, but in a really amused way. Like, he wasn't mad at all. We're going to have to see, if Tail is going to go ahead and bring that kind of deck again. Will Dogok
test his luck?
Maybe Dogok might have made something like that too, going, hey, it worked for him, maybe it'll work for me.
Maybe the RNG God is on my side today, right?
Possibly, man. RNG God, you gotta make him happy if you want him on your side. So we'll have to take a look, see what kind of decks that they decide to bring here. But let's go ahead and introduce these players to you again if you weren't here yesterday. On Team Overlord, this is ik4rus. So far, 72% win rate. And here, you can see his qualifying history. He had beaten Ryumin before.
Yeah, in the round of 8, because that's why Ryumin is in the losers bracket right now with Togo. So far, he has won 3-2 against all his opponents. So, that's not as sturdy as a 3-1 or 3-0, but he's definitely up there.
All right, and here, the man of the hour. This is Tail. on Team Nightmare, and this is the brilliant genius who decided to bring his Astral Communion deck. I talked to him earlier, and he just said that he kind of wanted to make the tournament a little more fun. You know, just
He
kind
sure
of,
did.
Yeah, he sure did. A little more fun, and just to kind of shock the viewers, see what the chat was going to say about it. And obviously, definitely gave a big splash, and everyone has been talking about it. But we'll have to see if he'll bring it back again or not.
Yeah, even the players like Togo who lost yesterday, he wasn't even mad. He was just laughing
I
off
know.
about it. All his teammates were laughing it off too. So everyone was very happy. Everyone was amused to see something different to this tournament.
And speaking of different, it's because, you know, so far we have been seeing a lot of Zulok, a lot of Shaman decks. All the Warrior decks so far have been banned out, and it's just been the same things over and over again. So Tail kind of brought us some relief, I suppose, by bringing some fun deck. But hey, you know what, guys? Let's take a look at the community vote.
Are
Ooh.
you surprised? Because I'm very surprised.
I don't know. No. I think maybe people watching this, they're voting because they think Tail can't do it twice in a row.
I mean, this guy had the RNG god in his side
He
yesterday.
does.
And only 34% of fan vote? I just cannot believe this. But maybe this time Tail brought some more traditional, more consistent deck and not try to test his luck. We ought to see.
Yeah, I'm going to say if you had RNG just on your side one day, it must be hard to have him twice in a row.
Yeah, and speaking of the decks that people have consistently bringing, we have seen a lot of Warrior brought by the players, but none of the Warriors were playable so far, except for maybe once.
No. And so far in the quarterfinals, every time a Warrior deck came out, they would ban it. And again, we saw that yesterday, and we're going to have to wait and see if they do that again today. Oh, man, look at that. So both Warriors have been banned. And it's a
Whoa,
mirror
okay.
matchup once again. Druid, Warlock, Mage though.
Yeah,
Hey,
but
no
this
Shaman.
is interesting. No Shaman, and both players brought Mage. ik4rus is very well known for his Freeze Mage play, but I don't know if you're ever confident enough to bring a Freeze Mage deck in this current meta. So maybe this is still a Tempo Mage. I think we saw a Tempo Yak Mage from Tail yesterday, so he's probably gonna do something similar to that.
I would assume so too, yeah. Also, well, speaking of freeze mages, earlier in this tournament, Transit, actually a player from Group A, he had good success on that. So
Yeah.
why don't you think other players would bring that?
Well, I mean, it worked out for Transit, but I just feel like he just got lucky there, and I'm sure a lot of people agree with that. Freeze Mage doesn't really do well against any of the decks that are popular in the current meta, like Aggro Shaman, any type of warrior really, and the Druid, it does
It's not like we
that.
see any warriors though.
Yeah. It does definitely have some edge over the Druid nowadays because a lot of people are using the Cthulhu Druid. But if this is a Beast Druid, if this is a Token Druid, then they can do a lot of burst damage by like turn 6 or 7 before the Flame Strike can come down.
True. Because that's the only Flame Strike and Blizzard at turn 6, right? Is when you actually have that clear.
And something like Frost Nova and Doomsayer, but it is a combo card, so you need to have both of those cards by turn 5.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess Transit did get lucky. Who knows? Who knows? Tail got lucky with his crazy Astral Communion deck yesterday.
You gotta believe.
You gotta believe. This is a faith-based broadcast, guys. We pray to the RNG gods here. But anyway, yeah, so we've got these players. I think they are both setting up now, and mirror matchups. What do you feel? How do you feel about that?
The only thing that can be different, just like I said yesterday, the Druid can definitely be very different from each player because there are different, like drastically different types of Druid decks currently
True,
that
yeah.
is very popular. Cthulhu Druid is definitely up there. Beast Druid, Lojum is a huge fan of that. I don't know if everyone else is. The Token Druid that Sixto has been using in his stream, those are really strong and popular too. So I'm really excited to see what kind of Druid decks we're going to see today.
Okay.
But also never forget the Astral Communion Druid.
I will never forget the Astral Communion Druid for as long as I live. If you guys have the time, I would definitely recommend going into the VODs for yesterday and watching Game 5 of the second set, because
Yeah, we were even confused about what was going on, who was winning.
how common is it to have a draw in a competitive match?
For 3 times in a row. with Coin, Wild Growth, and Innervade.
Well, then to get a draw, I don't think I've ever seen a draw in a competitive match before. But you know what? Let's get into game number 1. Here we go, guys. We've got a Mage versus Warlock matchup.
So this is a similar startup match. So we have seen Warlock mirror match starting for both matches yesterday and is happening again today. Obviously, these two players were the people who were playing yesterday. Oh, never mind. This is a Mage from ik4rus. There was a slight overlay problem, but we fixed it.
Mage for ik4rus, Warlock here for Tails. And yesterday, his Warlock was pretty standard. It was a nice zoo.
Standard zoo.
Yeah, standard zoo. So here, we're taking a look at the cards that he's got.
Yeah,
ik4rus
and looking at
still-
all these apprentices, this does seem like a tempo mage with ik4rus, perhaps. Something that Hot Form has been using a lot in his stream.
Ooh. All right, so both players decent first hand.
Well, ik4rus doesn't have Mana Worm, and he doesn't have cards like Arcane Blast or Arcane Missile, so I don't know if this is really a decent... Oh, okay, so this deck uses Acolyte Pain, so this is probably almost the same deck of what Hot Form has been using in his stream to get Rank 1 Legend.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
So-
Hot Form uses 2 copies of Acolyte Pain and Blood Mace Thanos to get extra draws.
All right, so Tails' options here turn to...
He doesn't have the Dire Alpha Wolf, which could have been a clean kill on this Call Sorcerer.
Yeah.
He could still go for a coining out of 3-drop play.
Is it worth coining out for either the Imp Gang... the boss?
Imp Gang boss?
Imp Gang boss, thank
Yes. He might even use a Soulfire because this apprentice is pretty scary, especially with cards like...
go straight for the
yeah,
flame.
he's going to just go for it and hope to discard the coin. I don't know, man.
Oh, that
Can he do
is-
it?
Oh, that breaks my heart.
Oh, that
That
Mana
actually-
Worm. A couple turns too late. Actually, what about Mana Worm into Frostbolt? I think I like that play a lot. You could also go for something like Sorcerer's Apprentice into Frostbolt because the 3-2 contest the 1-3 on the board really well.
Right.
But I just like developing the Mana Worm at the same time. So yeah, ik4rus is gonna go for the heavy field control over giving all the buff to the Mana Worm.
Yeah, I think at this point he knows that, right, you know, obviously the Voidwalker is the only thing on the board. Having something like the Sorcerer's Apprentice will make or force Tail to play something else, like something bigger.
Yeah, this is just a pretty depressing hand from Tail. He doesn't have something like Abusive Surgeon, Mortal Coil, or Wolf to cleanly kill off that Apprentice.
I think that was a really good choice by ik4rus there. I mean, of course, I say this because I could see both decks.
Yes.
ik4rus obviously had to make that guess, but it was a pretty good one.
Yeah, an Imp Gang Boss is always a really sticky minion for any class to deal with, except for maybe Rogue because they can just do something like Shadow Strike.
Okay.
But yeah, he's just gonna go with flooding the board with as many minions as possible. And that was a really smart call from ik4rus because he has seen... So Tail has been telling, hey, I don't have Dire Alpha Wolf. I don't have that 1 extra damage buff right now.
Right.
So that's why he played this Acolyte Pain, hoping that he can get more than 1 draw off of it. But unfortunately for ik4rus, Tail just drew into the Dire Alpha Wolf, and he's probably going to utilize it this turn.
It looks like he's considering using that Darkshire Councilman.
Yeah, I like the Councilman into Coin Wolf. That has the strongest board. And you only give single draw to the Acolyte Pain, so why not?
He's definitely considering. Yep, and coin. Let's kind of see if you can just buff up both of these minions.
Yeah, ik4rus just really needs some kind of spell. Like Fireball would be great. That's something. Frostbolt is definitely something.
All right, what does he have here? Frostbolt and the Azure Drake.
Oh, he can't use Azure Drake and Frostbolt.
No. So the choice is here.
I like killing off the Councilman here with a Frostbolt and Ping because he has a Cult Sorcerer at hand. And that way he can actually buff up the Mana Worm too and make a clean trade into the Wolf and have a 2-1 left on the board.
Okay, Cult Sorcerer and Frostbolt, like you said.
Yeah, and I guess you're going to trade with the in-game boss too here. Yeah. Obviously, those 1-1s are pretty annoying, but...
Right, but it was definitely worth it to get rid of high threat cards on Tails' side.
Yeah, and I like killing on the Councilman here because ik4rus is probably going to play his Agility next turn, so he's not going to have the 2 extra mana to ping off the Councilman here. So I like the fact that he chose to do that instead. Oh, that is a pretty good top deck, the Abusive Surgeon. So he can actually kill everything on ik4rus's board.
Hey. Yep, oh, nice. So now, very clean.
Yeah, ik4rus needs cards like Flame Waker and Arcane Missiles to do some AoE damage and keep his board alive.
I really like these trades that's going back and forth. Both
Arcane
players
Missiles?
are...
Never mind.
No, Flame Waker instead.
Wow, the different of Argus though. It doesn't really give a clean kill on the Drake, but I'm sure that Tail has to kill this Drake. Yeah.
Okay, so turn 7. What do we do? We're gonna go with the Azure Drake.
Yeah, I don't think it was really worth it to use a Flame Waker and Fireball here because unless he hits the Argent Squire twice, the Flame Waker actually just dies on the board. So I think this was a smart call from ik4rus. Wow! That is a sick top deck.
Dude, I'm telling you, he's done something to get the RNG gods really happy with him.
What if ik4rus has Flame Strike? A lot of people have been utilizing at least 1 copy of Flame Strike. That is not what Hotform used in his original list, but I really like... Oh, is he just going to leave his Doomguard at full HP? All right. So he's trying to play around Flame Strike this way. Interesting. Yeah, I guess this was a really good call from Tail. He is preemptively playing around the Flame Strike.
I mean, at this point, whatever Tail gets, I'm just going to assume it's going to be something that he absolutely needs.
Yeah, and I think ik4rus has to go for it. I was going to say he might have to just use Fireball and Ping, but because he has a second spell, the Arcane Missiles, he's probably going to go for something like Flame Waker, Fireball into the Doomguard, and use some missiles and try to get lucky. He's just going to take it really slow and safe.
Yeah, Fireball right into the Doomguard. Get rid of it with the hero power.
I guess this could be better in case the Doomguard didn't die, because next turn he can do double Flame Waker into the Arcane Missiles and deal... How much damage is that? 7 missiles to the board. And Tail's obviously really scared of some AoE damage, so I don't know if he's gonna use this Forbidden Ritual. I think he has to, though. Yeah, he goes for it. So he just needs... he doesn't have enough mana to play everything. But I think ik4rus still has to go for it. Double Flame Waker into the Arcane Missiles.
Yeah,
especially
at this
against
point
all
in the
these
game.
tentacles. Yeah. I mean, ik4rus could go for something like 1 Flame Waker and Fireball and Missiles. I guess there's a chance for him to take care of more minions on the opponent's board that way. But I kind of like having the double Flame Waker on the board.
Yeah, I think that will
Because Tail has to get rid of all of these minions then. So 7
right.
missiles.
2, 3. Then.
That was pretty decent.
All right.
Yeah, that was pretty decent. But we know that Tail has Soulfire.
Soulfire, and he's got another Forbidden Ritual.
So this is when it gets a little clunky. The Forbidden Ritual obviously is a great card, but you have to use a Soulfire before the Forbidden Ritual because you're not gonna have mana left to play the Soulfire. So this is where it gets a little tricky. He really wants something like,
Oh
wow.
my gosh, that was super lucky
think
again.
he's
He's
gonna
gonna go
go for
Knife
it.
Juggler, and then why not? Forbidden Ritual. All right, that's going to be 5.
Okay, one more juggle. Wow.
Oh, and the last one.
That was
Okay.
a perfect Knife Juggler. 10 out of 10. Wow, ik4rus is gonna go for that Yaxeron. He didn't
It's
use
a
that
Hail
many
Mary
spells.
move right now.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Wow! That was perfect. That's it.
That worked out so well. That Yaxer. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I mean, ik4rus used like what, like 4 spells, and he got the Holy Nova. Like,
How
wow.
lucky! Oh my goodness.
That was insane.
Oh. Tail had the advantage all throughout that game, and from that one play, we could. That one play, man.
I mean, when I play Yaxeron, I just kill my own face or my own Yaxeron, but when you're ik4rus, I guess you get Holy Nova out of the 4 spells that you have used the entire series.
I know.
That is crazy.
How do you do that? Okay, so I think one thing I'm learning here is that if you participate in the Inven tournament for HearthStone, you just get extremely lucky.
Well, that's why he's standing here, right?
Yeah.
That's why he's one of the top 8 so far. Maybe he's going to secure the spot at the top 4 again.
We'll have to see. Whoever wins today in the winner's bracket is going to secure that spot in the top 4.
But that was so crazy. I thought Tail definitely had it with all those, what is that, the Forbidden Ritual tentacles coming off. But, wow.
What's the percentage on? What's the statistic on him being able to get that?
I don't even know. I don't even know.
There's just so.
Well, there are a couple other AoE spells that he could have used,
That's-
like Consecration. And Excavated Evil is not bad either, although it kills most of the board, most of his own board. And what else? Something like Unleash the Hounds, obviously.
I mean, that was totally a rhetorical question. This, I just can't believe how incredibly lucky he got. Okay.
Yeah, literally 4 spells,
We sat
and you get
there-
Holy Nova.
It's almost as lucky as getting Astral Communion 3 times in a row.
Exactly.
It's almost like that. So maybe the luck has switched. I don't know. I think Tail had the advantage there. But here we go now into game number 2. And now we're going to have Warlock versus Warlock.
And I feel like ik4rus kind of had in mind that Tail was going to start with the Zulak because that's what Tail did yesterday. And he was probably playing some mind game and played his Tempo Mage intentionally into the Zulak, and it worked out for him. And you have the bot duo from ik4rus's hand, Flame Imp and Voidwalker. Those are some Wamba combo to start with.
I mean, I'm looking at all these cards. They seem to be very good starting cards. It depends on the player and how they wish to play, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. The Possessed Villager and Urgent Squire, yes, they are pretty sturdy minions to have on the board, but you really need cards like Dire Alpha Wolf to actually make clean trays into what ik4rus is going to play.
All right. Tail just gets rid of one of his cards. Oh, and it looks like ik4rus is going to the same.
Wow,
They
that
both get
hand from
dark.
ik4rus,
Yeah.
though.
They both get Dark Peddlers. Start with the Argent Squire.
And that's pretty lucky for Tail, too, that he got the Abuse Subsergent.
That allows him to utilize his first turn.
So a couple of options here for ik4rus. I wonder which one he's gonna go for.
The Void Walker or the the
He
Void
could even
Walker.
play both minions. Yeah, he
Oh,
does
yeah.
go for it. It was possible for him to keep a coin and use it next turn to play the early endgame boss, but he decides it's not really worth it. Now this puts Tail in a little bit of an awkward spot. He definitely wants to play the Abusive Sergeant, but he doesn't have another 1-drop to play. But he is kind of forced to make this trade.
Right. Get rid of that Void Walker now.
Wow, the Sea Giant, that's pretty early to the party, but it can definitely get some insane value if the opportunity comes.
If the opportunity arises, of course. All right, Tail at this point has a lot of options. He can either go with the Councilman or the Imp Gang Boss.
I would definitely go with the M-Game Boss here because even if ik4rus uses something like Abusive Surgeon or PO or Soulfire, he is gonna be left with 1/1 Imp. And you can use it in synergy with the Darkshire Cosmo next turn if he really wants to. Yeah, and you're probably gonna kill this 3/1 over the 2/2 because the 2/4 is already contending the 2/2 really well. So what does ik4rus go for
Yeah.
here?
What does he go for? He could also throw out his Imp Gang Boss.
Yeah, or he could use his Soulfire, but you definitely don't want to lose your Sea Giant. I guess he's just gonna go for it.
All right, 2 Dark Peddlers.
The Worgen is pretty good because it's concealed. He does go for it. What did he
Wow.
lose? That is a best card to discard. That is the best card to
Wow.
discard. It wasn't even his stack to start with.
The
He never
Korean
wanted
casters
that.
just
Yeah.
said that was all skill, but I'm not sure if I agree with them there. That really was extremely lucky here for ik4rus. Yeah, I think the luck gods, the tide has turned. I think it's ik4rus' time to shine. Or
Well, you can't really put everything on the luck because ik4rus did play the Dark Peddler first to increase the chance of discarding whatever 1-drop card that he was going to get from the Dark Peddler.
all right. So he could do
I like
Either.
playing the in-game boss
Ik4rus and-
probably the Possessed Villager and set up for the Sea Giant. Because, yeah, the Flame Imp just cleanly trades with the in-game boss, so you might as well just play the Possessed Villager and make it more tricky for your opponent to deal with his board. I mean, there's no way for him to deal with this in-game boss right now unless he taps into something, but I think it's so much better to just play the in-game boss. I think it's just debating which 1-drop he should play.
well, it's Imp Gang. Does he want to tap or does he want to just play this card?
I just
the card?
play the
Yeah.
Wow, he actually goes for the
Oh.
Flame Imp. I wonder what's the reason behind this.
Alright, so we have the Power Overwhelming.
Yeah, maybe ik4rus was trying to play around something like Defensive Argus this turn by playing the Flame Imp, by putting a minion with bigger attack. Not really sure, but in here, Tail's definitely going to play Darkshire Consummate, and if Tail plays Forbidden Ritual here, or even not,
Do you think it would be the Councilman and the Dark Peddler?
probably, but if he could even go for the... No, I don't think it's really worth it to play the Forbidden Ritual here, especially against ik4rus's in-game boss. But either way, I think ik4rus will be able to play his own Sea Giant next turn.
Yeah, that brings that mana cost down pretty low. There's quite a few minions on the board.
What is Tail thinking about? Yeah, I
No,
like
yeah,
this.
this
This
is-
seems to be the best line of play from his
unless
given
he's
hand.
just trying to play some mind games with ik4rus.
The corruption against the Sea Giant. If Tail sees us...
Oh, if he knew this. Go for that
He
one.
does go for the corruption. Wow, okay. So I guess the Siege Iron is not going to get much value.
Right,
but
and he's got to expect that his opponent has a Siege Giant somewhere. He doesn't know he's got it in his hand right now, but... Alright, so now
wow,
what do you
how
do?
did
Do you
Tail
play?
see that? I'm so surprised. Maybe he was actually trying to play around Doomgar because this was a turn 5 instead of the Siege Giant, but just worked out for him.
It could just been a preemptive also, you know, just expecting that Siege Giant
Yeah.
eventually. And there it is.
Tail's like, yep, I got corruption. I
He's
can
like,
handle
it's
this.
fine.
ik4rus does have Leroy in hand, so he does have a lot of burst potential. And I don't think he used any of his PO yet,
No, he hasn't.
so he definitely has a lot of burst damage coming in very soon. Yeah, and you have to kill this Sturkster Consummate, no doubt.
Definitely the card with the biggest amount of threat on the board right now. And we'll have one more imp apiece.
That's a pretty sick drop, too.
Knife Juggler into Forbidden Ritual.
Yeah, the only thing that could be worry of is because you don't want these juggles to hit the Siege Giant after you use a corruption, so I think that's why he tapped here. I don't know exactly what card he was looking for here, though.
Alright, so we could either, Knife Juggle into Forbidden Ritual, or...
No, he definitely has to use a corruption, so that's a
Okay.
must. Yeah, I think he's just gonna leave his combo left at hand, the Knife Juggler and the Forbidden Ritual, and try to get full value out of it.
There we go, there's the corruption.
Yeah, this is kind of a greedy line of play, but I guess it's gonna work out for him.
ik4rus.
Although this in-game boss is gonna come down, that is the only issue. I wonder if ik4rus is gonna go face with this 8/8 and deal that 8 damage at face, or make a trade with a Dire Alpha Wolf. Because you have Leroy Jenkins at hand, it might be totally worth it to go face with this 8/8.
Might as well, you know that your Sea Giant's going to be gone next round.
Wow,
Yep,
he
there we
is just gonna go face. I like this line of play from ik4rus. So now Tail is in a pretty awkward spot again because of that in-game boss.
Alright, he's going to use his Power Overwhelming on the Alpha Wolf.
Yeah, I wonder which minion he's gonna kill first.
Me too.
Wow, okay. So Tail doesn't have any chance of killing the Sturkster Consummate now, right? Yeah, there's
He's
just
just
zero
gonna have to
chance
hope that
because he can only
it's
summon.
gonna juggle in.
Yeah, he can only summon 4 minions. So even if all the juggles hit the Sturkster Consummate, it's not gonna be able to kill it. Wow, that is pretty scary.
Oh.
I guess Tail is kind of playing around Leroy Jenkins this way by playing the Knife Juggler. Wow.
Alright, Leroy
Okay.
and
So-
Power Overwhelming.
He has 15 damage at hand, but if this Leroy dies from the Knife Juggler, but it's so unlikely. I say go for
Go
it.
for it.
Go for it.
High risk, high reward, buddy.
Wait, which one do you use PO on? Which one's better? Probably the 1/1.
ik4rus is trying to decide right now.
Yeah, he has exact lethal unless the Leroy dies. Let's just go for it. Let's. Oh, no, he's never gonna take the aggressive route. Yeah, ik4rus doesn't want to throw this game.
Alright, he's gonna go with the low risk, a little safer route here. Power Overwhelming, the 1/1.
Yeah, this way he is dealing that extra 4 damage to the face. I guess this is a safer line of play. And Tail has to tap here. He still has 1 defensive Argus left.
Oh.
I don't know anymore because ik4rus doesn't have lethal anymore unless he gets his PO again, the second PO. Now Tail has control of the board. Let's see what ik4rus gets.
And he
Then
just gets a
that
Void
is
Walker.
not PO.
No, this is not.
That is something at least. And Tail still has one Defender of Argus left, and I think he still has 2 copies of Voidwalker left too. Oh, wow!
Oh, speaking of the Defender of Argus, there he is. And now it has shifted over to Tail's favor. Do you think ik4rus is thinking to himself that he should have played the Leroy earlier?
Well, I mean, I think so because he did have 3 minions on the board, including the Leroy Jenkins if he played it. And I think it was very unlikely for the Leroy Jenkins to actually die from the juggles, especially because he had the PO to buff up the HP of a 1/1 imp or whatever minion. Yeah, probably the 1/1 imp. So it was very unlikely for the Leroy to actually die, but this is what ik4rus does. He likes playing very safely. He likes taking his time, but I think it's going to cost him this game at this point.
Okay.
Wasn't it much better to
did he
use a
get,
Defensive Argus on the Doomguard if he was gonna take this route? That was a
That's
bit
what
of
I
a
would've
misplay
thought
from
too?
Tail.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just figured Tail had a good
man.
explanation for that, but
Yeah, I think ik4rus played it way too safe, and he doesn't really have a way to come back from this board.
at this point, I mean, he just he heroed powered in. He could play
So
both.
ik4rus can do Abusive Surgeon and
Yeah.
Defensive Argus. That is going to give him 2 extra life. So Tail just needs 4 extra damage. That is not 4 extra damage.
That's not 4 extra damage. It could be 10 different minions, but not 4 extra damage.
I think Tail taps here because he still doesn't die to Soulfire. But that is another taunt, so that's still something.
That save,
I
yeah.
really wish that Defensive Argus was played onto the Doomguard, but I guess it's not gonna matter at this point.
It is coming down to the wire at this point. He's gonna have to use that Forbidden Ritual. Gets a couple of more bodies on this board.
Yeah, with a double taunt, this is just never gonna work for ik4rus.
Nope, that's
That
it.
is
That's
GG.
GG. There's really nothing that ik4rus can do to this board, and I think he knows it at this point. Yep. All right.
That was a very depressing game, I have to say.
Ooh, there's Tails.
I mean, obviously, it's a tough call to make when you are leading the board so well and you don't want to take that risk. I understand that, but sometimes you just have to go for it.
I was just thinking that. Do you think that would have been the game changer at that point?
Definitely. I mean, if Leroy dies, then okay, fine. The Leroy dies. Like, whatever. I
lose
can't really do
yeah,
anything
yeah,
about
you
it. Yeah, and what happened when he did not use that Leroy Jenkins was that he was just sitting on the board with a dead Leroy at hand and not being able to use it at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, just sitting there waiting for some sort of card to redeem him, but didn't really happen that way.
Yeah, it was
Oh.
so unlikely for the Leroy Jenkins to actually die when there are 2 minions. I think the Dirtshire Constant had 3 HP left,
Yes.
and the 1/1 imp was going to be a 5/5 imp. So those are a lot of extra HP, and your own face too. Take
Yeah.
the juggles that the Leroy was going to cause with the Knife Juggler. So I don't know. He played it way too safe.
I think so too. I'm pretty sure he's probably replaying that moment in his head too, going, man, maybe I should have played this, but you know what? It's a little late now, and I think they are going to get ready to the next game. Yeah.
That is a playstyle of ik4rus, and I guess nobody can blame him for the decision he made, but it was me. I'd definitely go for the face.
I would have too, but that's only because I'm a very ruthless and careless player who likes to just hit face things. Anyway, here we go now, guys. We are in the 3rd game.
So this is a Druid versus Warlock. Oh, I don't think this is Astro Communion from Tail.
No.
Looking at the Bronze Beard.
No, where are all the 9 and 10 mana cards?
Oh, this is a lame old Cthulhu Druid.
Normal druid.
Yeah, and this hand is pretty sick from Tail. He has the Innervate, he had the Wild Growth. As always, he is very lucky and skillful in drawing those key cards as Druid. Yeah, and Disciple of Cthulhu, this card is really great against Zulug especially because it kills something like Flame Imp or Knife Juggler immediately. And leaves the board.
Alright, so ik4rus here for a starting card.
And ik4rus has a very disgusting hand.
It does, but he's just
Wow, this
gonna
is
go
so
ahead.
sad.
Wow, use a forbidden ritual that early on.
Yeah, he thinks it's just really important to have some sort of board control, but I guess you have to do what you have to do. This is... Yeah, and I don't see that Sea Giant being able to come out to the board in any imminent future.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Like, Tail doesn't even have to use a Disciple of Cthulhu here. He can just use a Twilight Elder and let ik4rus deal with it. Yeah, I like this play. Or is he gonna do something else?
What is he going to...
Because Tail can use the Innervate next turn and do something like Brown Spirit and Disciple of Cthulhu and kill any minion with 4 HP.
Alright, let's go with matching and putting on, I think,
Alright, this is fine too.
saplings to match the Forbidden Tentacles.
I guess he wants to put his Twilight Elder down when he is certain that it can stay alive for more than one turn. And that Malfurion is going to turn evergreen as usual.
Why do you put down the Imp Gang Boss here instead of the Darkshire Councilman?
It's usually better to just put the Imp Game Boss because in this case, the Darkshire Councilman was just going to die to the Brown Spirit and Disciple of Cthulhu combo with 1 sapling, whereas this way, you actually get 2 imps on the board. Well, just 1 because the sapling is going to trade into 1. I don't know how the zoo can come back from this.
Well, we're gonna just buff up this 1 imp here to get rid of Bran.
And nice positioning from ik4rus because he is playing just in case he draws the Forbidden Ritual. Yeah, and Tail's just gonna get rid of every minion that ik4rus plays. And he even has Dark Arakoa next turn, a 5/7 taunt. And again, that Sea Giant just sitting there lonely.
I know it's waiting for its opportunity to come out to the play, but all right, so ik4rus has to tap, see what else he can get here. Plays that Councilman.
Yeah, this hand is so situational. The Sea Giant, the Learjank is the Defender of Argus. I don't know if he can get a lot of value out of the cards that he has right now.
I would assume playing this Dark Arakoa is with taunt,
Yeah.
Wow, his Cthulhu's already at 15-15.
Here, ik4rus can go for Knife Juggler and Defender of Argus. But even that doesn't kill anything that Druid has on the board, really. Yeah, I mean, this is just what happens when Tail has the Coin, Wild Growth, and Innervate, all those answers.
He just started really strong, really well.
Yeah, and Tail also got a second Innervate in hand and Norse to refill his hand whenever he wants to.
Knife Juggler and Flame Imp, hoping that Knife Juggler does.
At least this way he can use the Soulfire and get rid of the Dark Arakoa. I thought it was probably better to discard the Sea Giant because you're never gonna get much value out of it.
He lost the Leroy instead.
Wow, Tail even got mulch against the Sea Giant.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and that's a good card to get also.
He puts another card on the board, buffs up his Cthulhu.
Oh, that
Nice
Sea Giant
trade.
is so sad.
I know.
At least ik4rus got something going on.
All right, at this point, let's see. So he's got 5 mana.
He could do something like Flame Imp and Defender of Argus, make it annoying for Tail to deal with that 4/1 Flame Imp, or he could actually just play Consummate and Flame Imp, but he's just gonna get full value of Defender of Argus when he can, because it's going to be a really tricky situation from here on. And I like the attack on the face. He's playing around Swipe. He's like, hey, if you have Swipe, then you're gonna use it and you're gonna trade into my minion instead of me trading into your minion.
Right.
Yeah, and the Swipe, Innervate, Druid Claw looks very clean. Tail can even charge this Druid Claw and kill off the 2/2 Defensive Argus. That's not a bad call either, especially against Zoo.
Again, that Sea Giant.
Yeah, if Tail charges, then ik4rus is not going to be able to play the Sea Giant once again. I like the charge. Because you're definitely afraid of something like PO. I like the charge. Yes.
Yeah.
And that Sea Giant once again so sad. 1 mana off from being able to be played. Tail does have a pretty dead hand at turn 9, but he can definitely use the mulch and get rid of the Consummate. Wow.
Nice. So with this Raven Idol.
He could even go for a minion here. That's fine too. He did go for the minion.
Yeah, he did.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
That is so sick. Alright, casual 7/8 taunt on the board. Whatever. And ik4rus is probably just going to play the Sea Giant, hoping that the Sea Giant can make a trade into the 7/8 taunt, but we know that Tail has a mulch at hand waiting there for 3 to 4 turns in a row.
I don't even know what ik4rus can do at this point.
Not much.
No. He's going to throw out that Void Walker, hoping that taunt can help him somehow, but... Oh, gosh.
I have a feeling that ik4rus is going to surrender after he sees a mulch from Tail.
Oh,
wow.
and there's Cthulhu.
No, but I don't think it's worth using this Cthulhu here, right? You might as well just take a safe approach and play the mulch and get an extra draw from the Wild Growth before that. Yeah, I don't think you have to use a Cthulhu here, right?
It would be flashy, and if we know anything about the way that Tail plays, he is a flashy player.
I guess it doesn't really matter. He can always trade. Wow, he's just going to go for it?
He's going to go for it.
It's a 17/17, definitely. Yeah, I think it's totally fine. He can actually get lethal this way. Most likely, he's going to get lethal. That is lethal!
Yep. Wow, he got so lucky. Okay. So just as you had said, ik4rus is a safer player. I think Tail is the type who just wants to go for it and throws care into the wind. Because a guy who's going to bring a National Communion deck to a tournament and win with it is definitely someone who's going to go ahead and play the Cthulhu when he gets the chance.
Yeah, especially when Tail is one of the most least inexperienced player in this tournament, and he has the guts to bring something so funky like Astro Communion deck. He has the guts. Definitely. Yep. And he went for the Cthulhu here too. And he saw that lethal.
Yep. And he took the opportunity. He took that risk. Again, high risk, high reward, right? And ik4rus, yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if his calm, steady, kind of safer play is going to help him out, especially right now in the meta where everyone's so aggressive and just like so in your face.
Yeah, that one time he made that decision to not go for the PO and Larry Jenkins, I think that was definitely the game changer, and he lost a match that he really shouldn't have. But other than that, I mean, that is his playset. You can't really argue with the line of play that every player makes because every player has different perspective.
That is very true, and he is a professional. I'm sure he's got his own thought process behind the decisions that he made. But yeah, now the score stands 2-1, and Tail just. I don't even know which player is luckier at this point. Everyone's just getting the perfect.
It's not just about luck.
Of course, but they're drawing the cards that are benefiting themselves so greatly that How come that never happens to me? I think that's the question I want to ask.
And we're
HearthStone, why
gonna
doesn't it
move
never
on
happen
to
to me?
the next side.
Set number 4, guys. Here we go. It is Mage versus Warlock.
I mean, maybe if you sit on those gaming chairs with these hot sex logo Inven shirt, maybe the luck is gonna come to you.
Oh my gosh, maybe that's what it is. I just need to drink more hot 6. Ooh, look at all those flame wakers.
Yeah, and it's so important that this Tempo Mage got the coin because it's 2 extra damage with the Flame Waker, man.
So, Tail.
So at turn 3, Tail can do something like Flame Waker, coining out, Arcane Blast. And ik4rus, now he takes the aggressive route instead of playing the Possessed Villager. He's not playing around Arcane Blast, but this time Tail does have it. And wow, Tail even draws into the Arcane Missile, so he can do something like Flame Waker coining out Arcane Missiles at turn 3.
Goes for the Dark Peddler. What does he choose?
Soulfire is pretty good.
I kind of want him to go for the Soulfire. I think that will help him. Yeah, help him be a little more aggressive in this game.
But that Caesar, man, it's so annoying. What is he doing there? Once again.
He's been in his opening hand like 3 times again too.
Yeah. I mean, it works out in the Zoo Mirror matchup, but in this case, not so much. M-Gang boss would be pretty sick here. Oh, the Councilman is really sweet too. Yeah, the only way Tay can deal with this would be coining out the Fireball. I think... I mean, he definitely wants to coin out the Water Elemental, but if he does that, he is losing that 2 AoE damage with the Flame Waker. He's gonna go for it?
I think he's gonna go for the Flame Waker. And...
he could hit 5 missiles.
Wow.
No, it's not gonna happen. Never mind. Nope. That was pretty good though.
It was alright. He was able to at least clear off 1 minion off this board.
So yeah, I like the M-Gang boss in Soulfire and discarding the Sea Giant because that is going to be the worst card at his hand. And ik4rus draws the best card from his hand. He loses his Knife Juggler by using the Soulfire.
I kind of wish that was the Sea Giant.
Yeah.
Just sitting there.
I mean, one day the Sea Giant is going to come down. Maybe not in the next couple of turns. So ik4rus is going to tap first.
There's another Knife Juggler.
ik4rus could go for the Wolf and make a trade, but I don't know if it's really worth it. Because if he does make the trade, he's just sacrificing 7 damage to the Water Elemental that could have gone face. I don't think it's really worth trading.
Alright, well he's gonna go Wolf and Possessed Villager.
Yeah, and once again, nice positioning by ik4rus. He knows that the Councilman is the first target from Tail's hand, and that's why he is putting the Possessed Villager next to the Councilman in case it dies. And Tail does not have any cheap spell to use with the Flame Waker. So Tail's looking for something like Frostbolt.
Yeah. So he's gonna try to see if his luck is helping him out there, but no
At least the
Frostbolt.
mirror image is something. But yeah, that was a little weird because I think Tail should have played his Sorcerer's Apprentice before he used the AI. In case he draws his Frostbolt.
Well, there she is now.
I think that was a slight misplay by Tail again, but I don't know, maybe he was looking for some other card.
Okay, well, with the addition of the mirror images, at least
So
a couple more
Tail
bodies out
is
there.
leaving the Councilman on the board, and because he used a mirror image, now the Sea Giant actually looks very juicy. But that was pretty greedy from Tail, I have to say. Because of that Knife Juggler that ik4rus has at hand, there's a huge chance that this Councilman is going to go face with a ton of damage.
He's gonna tap. Okay, I figured Knife Juggler and then Sea Giant? Does he have enough yeah, he does.
So unless this juggle
Oh.
has one of the mirror image, he can play everything in his hand. If this actually hits one of the mirror image, then
Alright.
he's gonna play around it a little bit.
And it
That's
does
fine. Yeah, he
not-
can play everything this way. Oh yeah, that's right. Because if the Sorcerer's Apprentice died, then he would not be able to play the Sea Giant. So this was the right line of play. Yeah, and look at that.
Ooh, the Darkshire
Wow.
Councilman now up to 8 damage.
And again, Tail only has one cheap spell to use with the Flame Waker. And the endgame boss, oh my gosh, I don't know.
Ah, this does not look good for Tail. Flamebreaker does come out on the board, but
Wow.
yeah, the chance of hitting that, there were so many minions on that board, the chance that it was going to hit the Darkshire Councilman was probably pretty low.
Well, still, the Knife Juggler was a pretty good juggle.
Yep. Alright.
I guess his brand is not
Bran?
going to get much value immediately, but he still has to play just as a 2/4 minion. And Tail definitely has to get rid of a lot of minions that ik4rus has right now because he's afraid of so many synergies this Bronze Bear can bring.
Yeah, but starting with that Darkshire Councilman,
Yeah, and you have to kill the 8/8 Sea Giant as well. How scary is that?
if he does not have these mirror images, I mean, it's GG.
How much damage can ik4rus deal this turn?
Oh, that's 9.
Is that 14 damage? No, it's actually 15 damage just from that Councilman, right? Wow.
11.
Yeah, it's going to be 15 damage just from the Councilman, and I'm assuming that he's going to go face with that. ik4rus does have to keep Flame Strike in his mind, but at this point, yeah, he's just going to go face with everything.
And 15 to the face.
And
Tail
that
knows.
is not a Flame Strike.
Nope. I mean, obviously, we absolutely need to get rid of this Darkshire Councilman, but is it even...
Is there anything that Tail can do to stay alive? Because I don't see any way.
No, I don't either. He has no more taunts.
어떻게 한담?
Yeah,
And
he
he has
already
no full
used
board
both of his
clear.
mirror image and no ice block, no freeze effect, nothing.
이번엔 당신
Yeah, he really had no chance. And now, again, it is a 2-2. We come down to the wire, down to game number 5. And... Oh, Tail. What is Tail thinking right now as you look at his facial expression?
Well, it is a 2-2 right now, so this is going to be a match point for either of the players.
No.
How crazy is that?
Wasn't it Tail, though? Every single game he's come so far was a 3-2.
No, it was actually ik4rus.
Oh, was that
Tail
ik4rus?
has been doing pretty well, and
Okay,
I think
okay.
he has been winning everything 3-1 so far. Mostly 3-1,
3-1,
except for yesterday's
except for
match.
yesterday.
Yes.
Okay, so it's ik4rus. All right, so saying ik4rus then, another game 5 for him. How important is this win?
So ik4rus is pretty used to this. He's like, yeah, I know. I don't really care if I'm getting behind. I'm just gonna keep my playstyle, just keep it very safe and slow and steady, and get that last win.
Well, you know, he did it. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Is his slow and steady method going to benefit him this time, or does he change it up and go aggressive?
Well, it really depends on what kind of decks they're playing, and we will start and move on to the last set.
all right, let's take a look here. What decks are they playing?
해드리죠.
Cthulhu versus Tempo Mage.
Druid versus Mage.
And that wild growth with the coin is pretty sweet from ik4rus. He's probably gonna take everything except for the mulch. I think it's also worth it to keep the Cthulhu's Chosen. Maybe he's looking for something like Wrath or Living Roots, something to deal with the
Oh.
board a little bit earlier. But he does decide to go with a 2-3-4. That is a pretty beautiful hand from ik4rus. Yeah, he even got the swipe, so if he really needs to use it as a board clear, then he can always do that.
He's probably feeling pretty good here. This is the last set, guys.
Yeah, I like the coin and wild growth, and this way he can deal with any 2-drop that Tail plays, any of these apprentices.
Okay, so Tail.
But no apprentice from Tail's hand.
Nope.
That actually worked pretty well for Tail, really, because now ik4rus's hand is pretty awkward. Yeah.
All right. Well, what do you play? The only
You could
thing you can-
innovate out Cthulhu's Chosen. But yeah, I like holding on to everything. It's not really worth using the innovate here. I mean, ik4rus can get something like Dark Arcoa next turn and play it.
wow, already turn 3 and no minions on the board.
This is pretty funny because Tail's hand is a little bit awkward and off mana, off carb, and that's making ik4rus's hand off card by a little bit too. But he's definitely going to play this Disciple Cthulhu, yes.
Go get rid of the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Oh,
At least his Water Elemental is a tough minion forager to deal with.
remember, guys, whoever wins this is a fast track into the semifinals.
Yes, Lojum has already secured his spot there, and the winner of this match is going to be there with him.
Yep. And then next week we'll see who the remaining players are. But this is a very, very important match. This is the winner's matchup.
So this attack is a must, and ik4rus is debating between Cthulhu's Chosen and Drake, but he decides to go with Cthulhu's Chosen, make it a little bit more difficult for Tail to deal with.
Okay, with 5, do we go with the Drake
Interesting.
Cults? Really, the Cult Sorcerer.
I guess this is a pretty easy way for Tail to deal with the 4/2 minion, and he's just gonna go with this and use his Arcane Blast as well. It is kind of annoying to use the Arcane Blast because it is a 4 damage, but you just have to do what you have to do.
Right.
So this is why it was actually better to play Cthulhu's Chosen over the Azure Drake.
Just to clear that board at whatever expense there is. Alright, well, he's got both swipes in his hand. That's
Yeah,
great
ik4rus
insurance.
can use Azure Drake, Innervade, Swipe next turn, so I have a feeling that he's just going to go for the second Cthulhu's Chosen and Wrath on the Cult Apprentice.
Oh.
He could even go for Wrath and Swipe, but... Oh, he's going to go for Draw.
He's going for a draw and
Yeah,
then
and so he
swipe.
does decide
Okay.
to kill everything, almost everything on the board. And hope to see no more minion from Tail.
Tail does have that Azure Drake. He's gonna...
Isn't Water Elemental better? Because it's a 6 HP minion?
Right. The mage just wants to draw another card here.
I guess.
And
Oh, actually it worked out for him because next turn he can do Water Elemental and AI. He saw this coming. So with the Innervade, he can even do something like, how do you like Claxy Amber Weaver and Innervade Swipe? It's 1 off mana, but you have a 4/10 over the 4/4 Azure Drake. I like this better. You are using the second swipe, which is kind of scary.
he's trying to decide whether or not that's the best decision.
You just never want to leave a spell power minion on the board, especially against mage.
Yeah. Alright.
Yeah, I like this. He might even play a second minion, but I guess it could be. I think it's fine to play a second minion too.
Use that innervate.
Yeah, but he's gonna go for the swipe and
Oh.
kill off the spell power minion. Okay. Yeah, this
That's
is
not bad. Yeah, so
this is
then-
an okay line to play too.
He clears out the board, and he's got this minion with 10 health on it. So even if a fireball decides to hit, you know, he still has a bit more that he's going to have to go for.
Yeah, I thought it was fine for him to play a second minion and save that swipe for later turns, but that's fine too. And I guess he's gonna go for the Dark Arcoa, the biggest minion he has at hand, and next turn ik4rus can play something like Azure Drake and Cthulhu's Chosen. These minions are really tough for Tail to deal with. Yeah, usually people say that, oh, Water Elemental is such a tough minion for Druid to deal with, but in this case, it's the other way around.
Okay, well, he does have 2 fireballs.
Tail does have a lot of damage, but Druid is sitting at 31 HP. So Tail definitely has to use some of these spells to gain control of the board, but I don't know how you can do that against a 4/10 Claxy Ember Weaver.
You fireball it to the face, maybe? I mean...
But you don't have enough burst at this point.
True. That is very true. These 2 minions on ik4rus' side, very hefty. He gets rid of the Dark Arakoa.
I guess you could attack the Ember Weaver and...
Phrase it?
Yeah. Prevent the apprentice from dying for free.
시간이 별로 없어요.
I guess that's actually a better line of play because ik4rus is not planning to use his face next turn at this point.
So freeze that. The Sorcerer's Apprentice can live 1 more round, but we'll have to see what ik4rus decides to play.
That Living Roost, though, that's actually really big. If ik4rus got something like Twilight Elder, he would definitely go for the Living Roost, but now it's a little bit more awkward, but I guess he is going to kill off one of the minions. And that's interesting. He decides to kill the Water Elemental over...
The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah. So...
And goes face with...
He thought it was more important to keep his minions and his face unfrozen than giving him Tail some opportunity to use a lot of spells.
Alright, so...
Yeah, this is actually
Okay,
going to
yeah.
punish ik4rus for not killing the apprentice. Because Tail can now use 2 spells instead of just 1 if the water elemental was the only minion left in the board.
He's gonna
Oh,
play
is he
another
going to play another one?
And then
Okay, I guess
fireball
this
him
works
to the
too.
face. Okay. Nice, and he does get rid of
Wow!
him. Oh!
And the Azure Drake lives. At least ik4rus did use both copies of the swipe, so he's not going to get much value out of this Drake.
And ik4rus is out of swipes now.
Yeah, that's fine though. He can kill up 1 Flamewaker with the Drake, and he can kill another one with Druid Claw Charge, and he can play probably the Drake over Cthulhu's Chosen to fit the mana curve. But ik4rus does have to play around the Flame Strike a little bit from here on. But if he does charge the Druid Claw, then he is only gonna... Then Tail is only gonna have 1 minion on the board, which is the Sorcerer's Apprentice. It is a scary minion to leave on the board. I'm sure that ik4rus is regretting not using the Living Roots on that minion.
Oh?
I guess he is thinking about using the Nourish because he wants to play around Flame Strike a little bit more.
Alright, Nourish.
I don't know. I think, yeah, I much rather play a minion. I don't really mind getting Flame Strike at this point. Even a Blood-Based Thanos, wow, okay.
He wants to get rid of
Is it
both of the
time
Flame Wakers.
for the Yaxaran?
YOLO Yogg. That's what I think of him. There's been quite a few spells being
Just
have been played.
1 draw off the Flame Strike. Yeah, he's just gonna kill the Drake over the Druid of Claw. Why not? It's a spell power minion. I think it was actually better to make a ping on the Druid of Claw just in case the Drake gets cleared by a spell. But okay. See, this is what I mean. So now ik4rus can do something like Disciple of Cthulhu and Living Roots.
Okay.
And kill the Azure Drake. And now Tail cannot just ping off the Druid of Claw.
He's looking here. It might be time for the Yogg soon.
Might be. So ik4rus is constantly playing around the flame strike.
He is.
He's not even using the living roots as 2 saplings.
Tail is shaking his head. I think it is time.
Does he believe?
I would think so. This is the man who played Cthulhu last round and got very fortunate.
One thing I have to mention is that I'm so sad that neither of these players are using a golden ik4rus. They don't believe enough.
Oh, he just hero powered and relinquished his turn.
Yeah, he doesn't want the mana worm to have a free trade. And I guess he's thinking about using the ik4rus next turn if ik4rus just plays a lot more to the board and overcommits. ik4rus knows this, definitely, and that's why he is debating when he has the perfect hand. He can do the Brown Bondsbeard into the Twin Emperor Veckler, and he's going to go for it because this is safe against Flame Strike, but who knows what's going to happen against the ik4rus.
Oh gosh. So
The
now
triplets are out.
He has to play the ik4rus in this hand.
I think he has
there we
to.
go. We'll take a look. Let's see.
ik4rus is brave.
Both of them are. Oh.
Flame Strike? Flame Strike kills the board.
Oh. What?
Is that lethal? Is that lethal? That is lethal.
That
yes.
is lethal. And
The
ik4rus wins his game. Wow. Big sigh of relief coming from the winner. He is the first man out of Group B to make it to the semifinals. And there's Tail. He knows how funny that last.
Again,
it was a Hail Mary.
Yes, but this is a double elimination, so Tail still gets a second chance.
Yes.
But yeah, congrats to ik4rus for making it to top 4.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and join Lozum now. Those two men are waiting around to see who their opponents are going to be in the semifinals. We'll have to figure that one out next week when all of the losers bracket then sorts out the winners from that portion of the tournament. But man,
I mean, ik4rus did have some shaky start with the Leroy Jenkins, but it's just his playstyle, and he's just gonna go with the safer line of play, and it worked out for him. And ik4rus did not make any obvious mistake.
Yeah.
It was just a different line of play, whereas Tail did make a couple misplays here and there,
Yeah.
and
there were some questionable things where we
Yes.
said, why did he put, for example, the defender of Argus in a certain position as
onto a
opposed to the other?
1-1 over the Doom Guard.
Yeah, little things like that may have definitely changed the pace of the game, but ik4rus being played, and
The ik4rus giving the lethal. I mean, I'm sure that ik4rus had lethal even before the ik4rus
Oh.
came down, but just think about what ik4rus did for ik4rus.
That's true.
With 4 spells, he got the Holy Nova, and he got the clean answer to the opponent's board. But this is just what happens, and we're gonna take a short break before we go into the losers match.
yes, actually, I think we're going to have an interview pretty
Oh, yeah,
soon.
we are.
We have an interview
네,
here with
감사합니다.
Congratulations on your win. Thank
팀
you.
오버로드
I
ik4rus입니다.
am ik4rus from Team Overload. First of all, you are the second person to make it to the top 4. What do you think about that?
일단 오늘 좀 컨디션이 안
I
좋았는데
wasn't
올라가게
feeling
돼서
that well today,
엄청
but I'm really
다행이고
happy that I
기쁘고.
won.
네.
When were you certain of your victory?
솔직히 부패 맞고 정복전도
When I got the
지는 줄
corruption
알았어요.
to my siege, I
네.
thought I lost it.
그 흐름이라는 게 있다고 생각하는데
But-
흐름을 뺏겼다고 생각했는데
And I thought I
네,
just
그래도
lost my
다행히
flow
이긴 것 같아요.
of the game, but it just worked out well for me after the corruption somehow. And you didn't go for that Leroy Jenkins play
네.
when the Knife Juggler was on the opponent's board. You were playing very safely
그게
there.
이제 리로이를 쓰면은 무조건
I
필드가
thought
뺏기거든요.
If I
근데
use a Leroy
더
Jenkins,
이상
I was definitely
그
going to be
필드를
losing in
깔면은
the
앞으로
board.
계속 정리당해서 1딜 영원히 못 줄 걸 알고 있어서
And I knew that I was
어쩔
never
수
going to be
없이
able to
정리.
deal that one extra damage if I played the Leroy, and I didn't want to take that unnecessary risk. You had PO and Leroy at
네.
your hand. And what if you use a PO before using the Leroy Jenkins to your 1-1 imp? because you were probably never going to lose that match if you just
킬각이
use
나왔나요,
the
그때?
PO there. Oh, did I have lethal there if I use a Lyra? I did not know.
저희
And the casters are actually apologizing to the player for tilting him after letting him know of the lethal, the possible lethal. It wasn't a 100%.
저 3번 4번 검사했는데
I
1딜이
actually calculated
모자르더라고요.
3-4 times in a row and did not see the lethal.
근데 그거 해도 모자르던데.
But yeah, I thought it wasn't enough damage, but maybe I just miscalculated. Yeah, you must have been very nervous. That's why you couldn't calculate very well. Because you made it from the winner's match, you're gonna go against whoever comes from the group A losers.
일단
Tell us about your mindset going
4강
into the semi-final.
룩삼님이 하마코에서 4강까지 가셨는데
Luxa made it to top
제가
4
후계자로서의
qualifiers at
역할을
HearthStone
충실히 한 것
Masters.
같아서 기쁩니다.
And I'm really glad that I'm able to make it to the semifinals as well after Luxam.
네.
But you can also make it to the finals now, unlike Luxam. How confident do you feel? And once again, congratulations on your win, and we hope to see more amazing matches from you. And this is the end of the interview.
Thank you so much, Harso, for translating that. And we're going to show you here. Oh, the results are 0-0. No, we're just kidding. There's a little bit of a graphic error there, but there we go. Here's the real set. ik4rus 3-2 over Tail. Wins the first set, wins third set, and then the final two. And so, whew. Wow. ik4rus again going that long run all the way to game number 5 and winning it out.
Yeah, he just wants to get the 3-2 record all along the way, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Hopefully he'll be able to get some 3-0s maybe coming
Hopefully.
into the semifinals. That might be good for. Oh no, it's going to be best of
Seven from
at
the
that point.
semifinals.
Yes. So I don't know, man. Maybe this guy's gonna go all 7 games next week.
Maybe if he does not miscalculate the lethal next time.
Did you see the look on his face?
Yeah, he was like, yeah, I counted 3 to 4 times and I did not see the possibility for lethal.
Yeah, but I mean, we were talking about it as well. We were just like, he could go for it and he could win. But you know, when you're in that booth,
Yeah,
and
it's a
so
lot of
much
pressure.
is riding on your win, you do not want to make any hard mistakes, and it's a lot of pressure there. I don't blame him one bit for not being able to figure that out. But you know what, guys? I think it is time for a short break, and then we will come back with more HearthStone for you. So don't go anywhere.